In three, two, one, welcome back to another episode of Matter of Fact. I'm Tommy here with Rob, per usual. How are you doing, my guy?
We're doing good, doing the people's work here, keeping them updated on what's going on in the world. 'Cause, man, important shit's going on every day.
Yeah, you feel me? And we really are, I don't want to say like your average Joes necessarily, but we're your average Americans. We work at two, very American companies, in FedEx and Wawa, and we get it done. So you can know you're getting the real. You're not getting no corporate, Israeli funded, media here. You're getting that real deal America, true to the soil, young and middle aged. You feel me? West Coast, East Coast, fucking knowledge for you. You know what I'm saying? Um, free Iran and whatever the fuck else y'all want to say. But that's not why we here today. We here because some after a chiller week last week. It's only Wednesday this week, and let's just say things have been up in roar already. Diddy has gotten acquitted on some charges. He got found guilty on some. But, a bunch of stuff has happened. And what we want to talk to y'all about today is the, impending, I don't know if we want to say doom, but reality might be a better word of what Trump's big, beautiful bill will do now that it was passed by the Senate on today? Yesterday? Yesterday.
And then it's got a House reconciled, which I think they might have did that too now, and it's good. So it's coming in pretty positive now.
Yeah. So
let's see what we got.
Let's see what they talk about.
Trump's massive domestic policy bill overcame a major hurdle today. Vice President J.D. Vance broke a tie in the U.S. Senate today to pass the legislation after lawmakers worked through the night and made last-minute changes.
The bill shrinks Medicaid and extends trillions in tax cuts, and it's the most expensive budget bill Congress has ever considered. But its future is still uncertain as House Republicans raise new concerns.
All right. So let's stop it right there. First off, do you know much about this big beautiful bill? Could you let the people know exactly what the fuck this is?
I hear a lot about it. Obviously, people are really worried that extending the tax cuts is just going to add more to the deficit, which they're probably right about that. In order to fund it, they're cutting all this stuff for like poor people, like Medicaid. Putting like a work requirement in for people to receive Medicaid, increase in money for the border, stuff like that. I think the worst part of it is going to be, the tax cuts that we can't really afford right now. It's probably the bad thing that everybody hates most. But a lot of Medicaid stuff is a sensitive subject too.
Yeah, I mean, just off the bat, I know like people on the right and stuff were talking about like how Trump's getting the economy right, he's lowering the deficit, we're not going to be paying dumb taxes, all that. So she just said, this the biggest, bill ever seen, by the Senate. It's looking like it's going to pass. Now, I don't know how that sets us up for the future. So I'm very uninformed on this bill, so I don't want to speak too much about it right now. But I will say right now it's looking like a little iffy off bat.
It wants us to cross the finish line by July 4th. Lisa Desjardins watched today's votes unfold in the Senate. She's here now to fill us in on what we know and what we yet don't about this bill's future. Lisa, good to see you.
You too.
So Republican senators barely got this bill through today. How did they do it?
By the skin of their teeth and the decision of one senator. Remember, there are key votes here. Let's look at them. Republicans could only lose 3. So here are the key votes, and you see Susan Collins, no. Rand Paul, no. Tom Tillis, no. Lisa Murkowski was the decider. She ended up voting Yes, I am told that Murkowski liked the tax cuts in this bill. She likes the defense spending, but she was and still is very concerned about the Medicaid cuts. So what happened in some last-minute drama that I witnessed over the Senate chamber, the last-minute changes to the bill really influenced her. So let's look at what they did here today. Out of the bill now, a Medicaid boost for Alaska and Hawaii. That came out at the last minute. We thought Murkowski might vote no because of it, but in the bill, some SNAP or food stamps carve-outs for Alaska and Hawaii. Also in this bill, they doubled how much money would go to rural health care. That helped Murkowski. Also notably out was a new tax on solar and wind. That was going to hurt those industries, and that is out of the bill. But I found out also in the last few minutes that there is indeed also a deduction for...
So, looking at that, like, off the bat, what you think about those things they took out, put in? Damn, she don't fuck with Hawaii and Alaska? I'd be pissed if I was. At least she gave them niggas, you know, some more EBT, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, those are very unique states, obviously, because they're not part of the contiguous United States or whatever. So, you know, that is a factor that you have to take into account. I think Alaska's probably the most sparsely populated state in our country.
And big, though.
Exactly.
And important.
Which is why it becomes even more sparse, because it's so big. And then, what else is it? You know, I think the one thing that I did hear a lot about in terms of like those energy credits, that could be really bad because
The tax.
yeah, like they're getting rid of that, which is like a disincentive to produce energy, which we need more energy than ever now with AI and all that stuff. And we've always been kind of lagging behind. And then like wind and solar, I think, are the fastest energy types to set up. You know, if you say, hey, we're going to do a new project, like you could do that within a couple of years. But if you're doing like a natural gas plant or something like that, or that's like going to be like, you know, at least 5, maybe 10 years, nuclear is going to be even longer than that. You're talking like 15, 20-year project. So, you know, probably short term, that's definitely going to hurt you. You know, these are a lot of long-term looking things. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will.
bill for their equipment. That will help Alaska as well. So all of this came together for Murkowski. She was asked about
Yo.
and she defended it as representing her state.
I advocated for my state's interests. I will continue to do that, and I will make no excuses for doing that. Do I like this bill? No. There are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill. I don't like that.
Got from my colleague from NBC, Ryan Nobles in Frankfurt. She said that it was a hard decision and she still wants the bill to change.
So that's Murkowski's view, one senator's view. What about other senators you talked to? How do they see it?
I gotta tell you, for Republican senators, this is almost like a near brush with political death, or maybe just passing a critical exam. But all in all, they really saw this, and we talked to them afterwards, as a sweeping bill that may come with some political risk, but that they think will be critical for the future.
This is definitely moving us where we need to go to make sure that the agenda of getting this economy back on track stays on track.
It's all those things that are just priorities for the Trump agenda, and again, it's about making America strong and getting America back on track, and this is what people voted for.
And it'll be a centerpiece of the next election, right? If we were...
Oh, wait, let's listen to that.
Will she do well if they're right? Maybe not so well. Eventually, our homework will be graded and our work product will be graded by the American people.
Big bill, big risks, big rewards. Opponents, as we've been reporting, see big dangers in this bill. That includes Republicans and Democrats. It's a spectrum.
Yeah, I mean...
I think what they're saying there, like, the dangers, the Republicans, what they're trying to be excited about is they think that this is going to be pro-growth and that we're going to grow our way out of the debt and stuff like that by growing GDP. This is where, we opened up the beginning of the show with, like, we're just regular-ass people, so we see it like that. And from the regular-ass people point of view, like, I think the economy doesn't look that good if you're, like, a regular-ass person. People are worried about losing their jobs and things like that. People are in crazy debt, whether it's credit card debt, buy now, pay later, all that stuff. They just turn the student loans on so they can get you with collections and stuff, like making it hit your credit score. They just ratcheted everything up. And, I think the effects of that still haven't fully been felt in the economy, and that's all going to be negative stuff. So. What do you think?
I mean, me personally, like, again, I don't know too much about how vital this bill specifically is to, like, how much it's really gonna change shit, because, like, so many bills be getting passed and stuff, and that's why I'm like, I really am just curious to see.
This is probably going to be the
What's actually
biggest
going on.
bill that Trump passes in his entire presidency. So
Uh,
this is a big deal. That's why they're calling it the Big Beautiful Bill. So this is going to be his big accomplishment that he's going to be riding on. So
And, like,
it
what is
increases
his overall
debt ceiling
goal?
by $5 trillion. What is his ultimate goal?
with this bill.
Well, I mean, that's hard to say. You know, you could say one thing, but what you actually intend can be another thing. You know, so obviously the wealthy gain the most, which a lot of times, you know, you don't have doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way it works out now. They're going to get the most individual savings, just because obviously they have more money to contribute, but and then all this stuff to the lower people. So our lives aren't really going to change. The deficit's going to continue to go up. The economy, people think it's going to do well. Last time they did something like this, Trump was even mad at his own, you know, when they did this for the corporations, because he goes, okay, no, I didn't mean for you guys to do corporate buybacks with the money. But that's what they did. And that's what they're going to do again. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's just what's going to happen. So you can't just keep doing the same thing, especially after you saw, okay, we didn't get really the desired result. So then you have to kind of game it a little bit more so people don't kind of just game the system and defeat the whole purpose.
And you think that's what this bill is doing, is allowing people to game it more, or allowing, you know, like...
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's eroding our tax base even further. You know, there's another thing where I think the inheritance tax, they extended that. So, like, the first, like, it's $15 or $30 million, there's zero tax on that when somebody inherits it. I mean, that's a crazy amount of money to be getting tax-free, that you didn't work anything to have. Someone's just going to give it to you. No taxes. I don't know about that. So, and then, yeah, I don't think cutting taxes spurs investment. You know, one thing I heard with Scott Galloway, he goes, you know, I started a lot of business and know a lot of entrepreneurs. He goes, I've never talked to an entrepreneur that says, oh, let me wait until the tax scenario is ideal for me to start my business. That's not what you're going to do. You're just going to start your business. You know what I mean? You're not waiting for a certain type of tax breaks and things like that.
Yeah.
That's not part of your consideration to start a business. So
No,
in terms of job generation, you're going to do and make your investments, if, you know, regardless in most senses.
That's facts.
Concerns about healthcare provisions, about energy, also about the tax cuts. But when we talked to them today, we saw there was some common concern also about the red ink.
Without question, this is not a fiscally conservative bill, and if you're someone who thinks that debt is a problem, I don't see how you can vote for this.
It's unprecedented numbers, millions of people who are going to lose their health care, so that a few people can have a tax break. And the same can be said with the incredible amount that this is going to add to the national debt.
They're going to take $1 trillion out of our healthcare system, and our hospitals cannot survive that. And it's going to end up hurting all of us. Oh, excuse me, all except the billionaires.
This was a big win for new Senate Republican leader John Thune, but this is not over yet.
It's not over yet. The president wants it done by July 4th. Is that...
Damn.
Yeah. You know, since Reagan, you know, that trend where it used to be wages kept up with productivity, and then after Reagan kind of did his thing, and all the stock buybacks became legal and stuff like that, like CEO pay started getting real, you know, the variance started to grow. Workers' wages did not keep up with productivity.
So is that
anymore.
why inflation got fucked up, because of stock buybacks and shit?
Not necessarily.
I thought wages got fucked up because of inflation.
But so what stock buybacks do is they're going to buy back their own stock, which is going to reduce the amount of shares, and the lower shares, you know, it's just like a math problem. You know, you're doing the top number versus the smaller number.
Yeah.
They're making that a small, you know, small number. So that increases the value of each share by doing that. Otherwise, the company, if they weren't allowed to do that, what would they do with that money? They'd probably reinvest it, right? Instead of just doing that, they would reinvest it in growing their business, paying their workers, training their workers, doing those sort of things. But instead, well, we could just do this financial maneuver and we'll get so much return on that. Fuck investing in people, why would we do that? And that's kind of the trend that we've been on, and you can continue to see that trend today, where it's like, oh, well, this is our fiduciary responsibility. We've got to do it in the best interest of the shareholders, and oftentimes what's best interest of the shareholders isn't in the best interest of the workers. So
that's a matter of fact. I mean, yeah, it's not sounding like this is a good bill. He want that shit done by Friday, so I don't even know what that means. But
I think it will be.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's watch a little more, but
possible.
yeah.
I will tell you, you just have to see how they get there. And the reason why is I have spoken to House Republicans who tell me they are a no on this bill publicly. We already have two, including Representative Ralph Norman, who sits on the Rules Committee. He said he cannot support this. They wanted to vote on this tomorrow. The next 12 hours are going to tell us a lot. But even Speaker Johnson has indicated he's in doubt about that timeline. We're going to watch it closely.
I know you've been breaking out specific pieces of the bill to take a closer look. You took a deep dive into military spending. What should we know?
Listen, we've been talking about all the trillions in this bill. $1 billion is still a lot of money. And when I read this bill, I saw billions and billions going to the Defense Department. That's something Republicans like. But it's something that's important to watch because a lot of this funding is usually day in, day out funding. It's almost like an emergency grant to the Defense Department. So I want to take a look at what the defense funding is in this bill. More than 200 projects I saw. You see some of them there. Billions for new submarines and ships, missile defense. There's a big category called readiness that is not defined. It really just seems like billions that the Pentagon can spend as they want. AI, war games, weapons, F-22s, which the Pentagon has often said they don't want to spend money on. Congress is again saying they must. And $1 billion on border enforcement. In total, $150 billion. This is a very large, maybe one of the largest sort of supplemental appropriations for the Defense Department. Again, Republicans love it, but when this time of budget cut is coming, it's important to know what they're doing here is trying to protect the Pentagon from future budget cuts in this bill. It's not a military bill.
There's also this question about whether or not Social Security.
Hey, yo.
What? You be safe. You're military. But that's it.
150 billion extra.
Yeah, because the regular budget's like 750 billion.
They're like, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna get y'all to $1 trillion this year.
Got you, dog.
Y'all can go refund Israel's defense system. Drop a few more bombs on Iran. Drop a few on Afghanistan because we over there fucking. And then protect Trump.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if
How is the market responding to this?
Well, the stock market has been booming, to be honest with you. Whether it should be or not, that's a whole nother story. We'll see about that, but. Stock market's booming. Obviously, they like the tax cut continuation. That's good for corporations. My only concern is and when does the kind of the rubber hit the road type of thing is, the consumers are struggling. I think definitely the bottom at least bottom 50% is probably pretty in bad shape right now. They got debt. And it's going to be the point where we're a consumer economy and people aren't going to be able to afford cars and shit. That industry of what's going to happen to it. When people used to buy cars every 5 years, it's going to be every 10. That's kind of the trend that we're going in. You know? So, people are financing their cars. You get a 7-year loan to finance your car. So if you're financing that shit for 10 years, unless you're giving it back right after that 7, and at that point you're paying so much more than it's worth.
Especially after 7 years.
Yeah.
That shit gonna be worth
the interest, all that shit. It's gonna be worth nothing, and you've probably paid, $80,000 on a $50,000 car.
Damn, it'd be like that.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
See, that's why, you feel me? I don't got a car yet. You feel me? Never officially had a car. And I mean, shit, I don't even have my license.
You don't need it. You don't got a car.
Yeah, facts. I don't even have my license, right? But I've drove across the country. I've drove here from Vegas. I'm just like that. Non-stop, nigga.
Catch.
Read about me. But, nah, so... But yeah, for my first car, like, I'm definitely not getting that shit from no dealership.
I would buy a used car.
Yeah, getting a used the shit car. They selling you a used car.
Yep, my car. I got my car right now. Is I bought it used off of my mom actually, who didn't drive it much. It currently has 70,000 miles on it. It's 2016. You know what I mean? Paid off. I just had to get some work done to it though. I spent like $2,600. That ain't cheap. You know what I mean? You got to do some upkeep, but the insurance is less on a car like that and stuff like that. And obviously, I'm like that, money conscious. I feel bad for the people that aren't because, you know, like I said, the rubber's going to hit the road and, you know, we're going to find out soon what happens with all this shit.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments what y'all think about the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah,
are you making some bread off of it? Because, I mean, if you put yourself into the position where you making bread off of it, I ain't going to hate. But damn, this shit sound crazy. So let us know in the comments what y'all think. Subscribe if you got this far. We appreciate it. Love y'all. Catch you in the next one. Peace.